Alright, so for this Kiching build, I'm going to be showing you guys what artifacts I use, what I chose with my substats and main stats on my artifacts, weapon choice, how I balance out my stats, and how I battle with my Kiching. So basically her battle playstyle. Do note that my Kiching is a C0, which means even at C0, she will still be a pretty viable main DPS. So the artifacts I chose for Kiching is the 2-piece Gladiators and the 2-piece Thundering Fury. The main reason I chose these artifacts is for the 18% attack on the Gladiators and 15% electro damage bonus on the Thundering Fury, which is obviously for a electro main DPS Kiching. So as for my flower, we have an off-piece Lava Walkers. I have that at off-piece because I have the best substats on that. As you can see, we have a 20% crit damage and a 10% crit rate, which is pretty nice. On the feather, we have a Gladiators that has a pretty decent amount of crit damage, 21.0%. For Sands, I chose an attack percent, although the crit damage could still use some more improvements. On the Goblet, I chose an electro damage bonus because, well, Kiching is a electro DPS. We also have some pretty decent crit damage here, 14.8, although it could use a bit more improvement. As for the Circlet, I chose a crit rate Circlet, which has a 12% crit damage. It also still has a lot of room for improvement, a lot of room for improvement. So all of these artifacts, which gives us in turn a total of 73.8 crit rate and a 163.0 crit damage. I can utilize a 73.8 crit rate because Kiching's Ascension stat is, after all, a crit rate, and 111.7% energy recharge, which is not that good, but I'll make do with that. Do take note that Kiching doesn't really need that much energy recharge because, as you can see here, her burst only requires about 40 energy cost. Now as for the weapon I chose for Kiching is the BP weapon, the Black Sword. As you may all well know, I'm not a free-to-play, but I'm just a low spender. I practically just spent on the BP to get this weapon. I am planning to get this to refinement rank 5 soon. I specifically chose this weapon for the crit rate. It has a pretty decent amount of crit rate, pretty decent, but it's not as good as the Mist-Splitter, which has a 40% plus crit rate. This weapon also has a pretty good refinement effect, which is the Justice. It increases damage dealt by normal and charged attacks by 20%, and it additionally regenerates 60% of attack as her HP when normal and charged attacks score a crit hit. This effect can occur once every 5 seconds. So this increases Kiching's normal and charged attack damage by 20%, and also the more attack Kiching has, the more HP she regenerates, basically. So this 2202 attack, you'll get out of 60% of it through healing. So this refinement rank is also pretty good. Do take note that my Kiching is a C1, although at C0 she is still a pretty viable build, so I really wouldn't recommend you to spend on Primo Gems, especially if you're F2P. Kiching's a pretty viable enough DPS with C0 as she is. As for her talents, I have her at 10-10-10, so basically she's triple crowned because, you know, I am a Kiching simp and I'm also a Kiching main, so yeah, we have her at basically 10-10-10, which is triple crowned, which is pretty good. Which in total, her attributes are 73.8% crit rate, 163.0% crit damage, 111.7% energy recharge, and 61.6% electro damage bonus. I would say she's a pretty decent build, but not OP, not too good, but she's a pretty decent build. In Abyss, she's pretty viable, and open world enemies are practically just easy for her, so yeah. Alright, so this time I'm gonna be showing you guys how I battle playstyle with my Kiching, or how I play my Kiching, basically. So there are a few ways you can battle with Kiching, so I'm just going to show you guys that, so let's go. So here is a technique that I like to utilize. Basically, first you tap E, then you use Q, and you tap E again. like nothing happened. That's the first technique I'm going to show you guys. Here's also a technique you guys can use, which is just basically using her skill and then just keep on charging attack like crazy. And E again. The cooldown for her skill is like 6 seconds, 5 seconds. So you can spam her skill that much, which is pretty good. Keep charging attack, charge attack, and they're all dead, just like that. Alright, so we're gonna be testing the quality of the game. This is basically windowed, so I'm pretty sure the quality is not all that good. I mean, the quality is fine, but it's not the best quality, as you can see here. So